Hello. Today we will be talking about humorous fics. These are sometimes crack fics, sometimes fics, but they're all rather enjoyable and will get at least one chuckle out of you, as long as it's your taste, of course. To start with, the adventures of the young Missy Biron and Aisha Laborn, Girl Guides Extraordinaire. I know I cannot pronounce that. I know I cannot pronounce it. Aisha, however the hell you want to pronounce it. Please correct me, but I have no idea. By Grist. It's the tale of two girl guides, and it's a train wreck of two preteen girls just creating chaos in an enjoyable way. Next up, we have Conquest Quest by Sojko, in which Taylor uses glorious solar bullshit for a lot of shenanigans, including taking over gangs, freaking out the Protectorate, and portraying herself as a pseudo-god versing Bakuda. To a certain degree, this could be considered a fic, but that's purely because the solar powers lend themselves to doing so. Next up, we have Hearts Aflutter by Zept. I would avoid this if you do not like black humor. This is a crossover with Yandere Simulator, aka the game where you play as a yandere trying to win the affections of her senpai by killing the competition. In this, Taylor is Yandere-chan's senpai. And this provides an example, a distressing example of black humor. It gets disturbing, but it's not too out there. It's not too graphic, if you know what I mean. So that's actually quite an interesting turn of events, but it's good. I like it. Just the scenario of it being Yandere Simulator and Worm. Next up, Parental Guidelines by Rumble in the Dumbles. So Taylor thinks she's hiding her powers from her parents. Turns out it's the other way around. She's the daughter of two very famous criminals, parahuman burglars that have an ability to steal pretty much anything. This is done in the most ridiculous fashion possible, as fitting of villains who earn the title of supervillains by learning the art of presentation. I think he's working on a sequel right now, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's good. I would recommend it. Writing Acromantulas and Understanding Magical Biology by -7. So Taylor and Amy get Peggy sued into Harry Potter, as Amy Potter and Taylor Granger are about to head to Hogwarts for their first year. They keep their powers. That's where shit starts to turn pear-shaped in an enjoyable manner. Overall, it's a very nice fic. It's very well done, and I would love to read more of it, but yeah, it is what it is. Silencio by Deviant D. Taylor is the mimetic mime. Honk. It is the progenitor of the shipping chart. Yeah, shipping chart fragen. And very cartoonish. This features a lot of shipping. Half the fun is the fact that Taylor is so confused over how apparently she's in a relationship with every female she meets and is presumed to be a male, even though it's Taylor. There's also a bit of a contentious Brian and Caden ship happening there, which wouldn't work by normal Worm standards, but because it's, fic, happy, crazy-ass Worm, it works. Highly recommended. Taylor Beats Up Nazis by Who Am I? This is a viscerally satisfying fighting story. I'm putting this in humor because it is pretty much a crack fic. It's a crossover with One Finger Death Punch, which, if you're familiar with it, is an incredibly satisfying game. It's probably the closest to a rhythm game the fighting genre has ever had. And that is achieved through the fact that every single time you click, you break somebody. And two buttons, very intuitive, and it leads to very fast, very nice, very action-packed combat. And that is also true of the story. It makes you feel like you're doing something epic when you're not really, and the story feels like you're reading something absolutely crazy epic, and it is. That's the only real difference. In One Finger Death Punch, you're not actually killing people with a blow. But in Taylor Beats Up Nazis, Taylor is wrecking house in the most amazing ways possible. The Techno Queen. by Prim the Amazing. Taylor is a super campy villain that ends up accidentally doing good in the process of creating megalomaniacal worldwide schemes to take over the world. This is the crack fic. This is the example of humor, and this has roots so deep into the fandom that things can never go back. This is the progenitor of so many things. This is the progenitor of the bullshit clockbuckle meme. This is the prime example of Taylor Dennis shipping. It is glorious. It is glorious and epic and crack. It is what I hope other crack fics aspire to be, because it is not just random. It is beautifully Rube Goldbergian chaos, orchestrated to maximize our enjoyment. And it is probably one of the best things I've read in the fandom, just for pure enjoyment's sake. It is amazing. Warrior of Dusk by Unwelcome Storm. Essentially, Final Fantasy classes with hats. Taylor can hold up to 16 classes, it's a quest, it is quite fun. Things get suplexed. What I Learned at Nature Camp by Hot Dog Vendor. When life gives you lemons. Now, there are two ways for you to complete that quote. One of which shows you have a basic understanding of English idioms. The other shows you've played Portal. Portal 2 specifically, but still, my point stands. Taylor has the ability to tinker like Cave Johnson does. She has combustible lemons. She builds everything off lemons, and it's just as ridiculous and as patently absurd as anything whimsical could be. It is good. And unfortunately, it does rely a bit too much on randomness and increasing escalation to keep pace, so the pacing's a bit short. But it is enjoyable nonetheless. You're a Witch, Taylor, by Kevin Vatchett. Taylor can learn Harry Potter magic, and somehow ends up playing poker with Vista, Shadowstalker, and Rune. Look, if you've noticed, there are a few names that come up, and he, along with Seclorum and Who Am I, is one of the three people I would consider to be the best writers of humor in the fandom, if for nothing else than just consistency. The quality is amazingly consistent. When I read something by Kevin Vatchett or Seclorum or Who Am I can almost guarantee that I will enjoy whatever the hell I am reading. So read it. It's also at points adorable, and it was really, really fun. And that's all the fics for this week. Next week I'm probably going to round it off with interesting fics, which I think you should read just because they're some of my pet favorites for a reason here or there, or potentially just because they are interesting concepts and explore things in a way that really hasn't been done in the fandom before. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.